Hello, guys. Hope everyone's doing okay. Let me know if you can hear me, if anyone's on the line. Hey, Ralph, how you doing? I don't think we'll be all that long tonight, Ralph. We haven't received any questions from anyone. Um, I got a few comments, but other than that, we shouldn't be too long on this call. I take it that things are on the right path with your opportunity, Ralph. Rosalind, how you doing tonight? Thanks for being here. As I was mentioning to Ralph, we may not be that long tonight. We didn't get in any questions, but of course, if you all have investor related questions, uh, we'll fire away. We'll get started maybe in about 3 minutes. Candice, how are you? And Mersham, how are you doing? We'll wait a couple minutes and get started. As I was mentioning earlier, we didn't get a lot of questions today. I didn't get any questions, but I do have a little bit of a Q&A back at you guys. But we probably won't be that long tonight. Perhaps it's the heat, or maybe the approaching Juneteenth holiday tomorrow. Maybe that's a reason why we're not getting questions. But yeah, Candace, it is pretty hot outside. Yeah. While we're waiting for the group, guys, if there's anything on your mind or any struggles that you're having, either if you're in a deal or if you're trying to maybe improve on your lead generation or your lead generation activities has stalled out, let me know. Maybe we can talk through it, or at least get you one step closer tonight. We'll get started in just a minute, guys. So let's get started. I would start by saying, guys, as an investor, that despite what the reports might say, hey Sharon, how you doing? What the reports might say with real estate in general, the market is good for us investors. Now, I know I was speaking to my brother earlier today. He won't be on the call today, but I was speaking to him earlier, and he mentioned, I guess the National Association of Realtors have come out with a report that says that overall sales for late May, mid June have went down significantly over the. This is the worst month in the last 15 years. Um, um, However, there are still people out there that need to buy and that need to sell. We're starting a year in a part of the year where there's a lot of transition going on, people wanting to be where they need to be for schools, that sort of thing. But for us investors, the pickings are still there. We still have a lot of tired landlords. We still have a lot of people in pre-foreclosure trouble. And so the market is still good for us in what we do. We just have to make sure that our marketing, that we have a marketing plan and we're working the plan. Maybe a little bit more than we would normally work it. Maybe we have to double and triple our efforts just to get in front of those potential opportunities. So, like I was mentioning, I don't have I don't have any questions that came in, unless you guys have questions, and we'll go around in just a few minutes just to see if anyone has any questions. But I do have a little dilemma that you guys might be interested in. Perhaps if well, let me just talk about it. Okay, so put your listening ears on. So we have there's a story about an investor trying to lead generate. He doesn't know much about investing, right? So he goes to the courthouse because he hears that going to the courthouse and bidding on opportunities could put you in a position to get a property, or perhaps get a wholesale deal, whatever. So he goes without knowing much, but he bids on a property in Bowie, Maryland. He wins the bid. He wins the bid at $250,000. And then with that victory, he jumps up and down, and then he runs to any cash buyer to say, hey, I just won the bid. And the sheriff says, I have 12 hours to put my money down for that opportunity. So this actually happened. Someone went to the courthouse, they bid on a property, they won the bid, and then their next step was to seek out any cash buyer and say, hey, I won at the lottery, would you buy my property? The sheriff says I need to have the money in 12 hours. Does anyone see anything wrong or right with that that play on that opportunity? You can put it in the chat box. Does anyone want me to repeat what I just said? Anyone have a comment on that? Or do you just want to hear what the final result was? So Ralph, as I suspected, would kind of be on it. And so for those latecomers, and you know who you are, I'll repeat it one more time real quick. So an investor who doesn't know much about investing, he goes to the courthouse because he hears that's a way to find properties. So he bids on a property in Bowie, Maryland. He wins the bid at $250,000. He has no money, I guess, but he bids on the property and he wins the bid. He wins it. Then he runs to any cash buyer he can get his hands on and say, hey, I won the bid. I won. Can you buy this property? And so the question is, was that the right move for him or the wrong move? So Ralph basically at a high level has it correct. You can't go to the property or to a bid like that without knowing who your cash buyer is. We often refer to it as reverse wholesaling. So reverse wholesaling is you meet cash buyers and you ask them, hey, I'm Keith. I'm just Keith. I'm wholesaling now. I'm looking for cash buyers. I understand you're a cash buyer. Where are you buying your properties at? Because the person that he went to today, maybe they weren't even buying in that area. Every cash buyer has kind of a plan or a way of developing their portfolio. So, so not having a cash buyer, you probably need about 3 or 4 cash buyers that you can depend on so that when you do get an opportunity, you can tell them about the opportunity before the bid. So let me see what other comments I have here. Let's see here. So Ralph was right, not having a true plan. And Rosalind says, yes, he should have gone to the courthouse with a plan in mind. And Karen and Candace kind of have the same answers. You do have to show up with certified funds, and the instructions are pretty clear. So if he had known who his cash buyer was going to be in the beginning of him even going to search or going to bid, he would have been better equipped and he would have known whether it's a good idea for him to make good on that property without having a cash buyer in mind. Now, I don't know if he's able to get out of, I'm assuming that he's not going to probably find a cash buyer, for that property in Bowie anytime in the next 10 or 12 hours. So he didn't have a plan. Candace hits it right. Should have had cash buyers lined up before the bidding. So for you newbies out there, auctions are very, very good. Dana knows. Dana got a property via auction, but you got to have your ducks in a row before. You probably want to have about 3 cash buyers that for the property and the property location. You got some cash buyers that may not want to buy properties in Bowie, or maybe they don't want to buy in Baltimore just yet, or maybe they don't want to buy in, maybe they're only buying in DC, or they're only buying in Waldorf. So every cash buyer has a story, but I think it's very important for you to not only just find a cash buyer, but to bond with that cash buyer, to go to lunch, whatever, coffee, learn a little bit about the goals of the cash buyers, actually feel out the cash buyer to see, if they're honorable people. There are stories about cash buyers that could care less how much the wholesaler makes. Not too much do we hear those stories. I think I would raise my hand and say that most cash buyers that are affiliated with Greg, they're honorable. Or Greg wouldn't want to deal with them. And so, you want to know who your cash buyers are, but I think it's more than you just giving your business card and you getting their information and say, oh, thanks, I'll be in touch. I think you want to spend some time talking to that cash buyer, bonding with that cash buyer, building a relationship so that when you do get that opportunity, they don't have to scratch your head and say, Keith, who are you again? You want them to just kind of know, hey, how are you? Yeah, I remember you. I remember our 3 or 4 conversations we've had. Or you do have an opportunity. Well, I'm interested. Send it to me. Hopefully, you would want the conversation to kind of go that way. Karen also makes a great point. Maybe probably one of the more important points when Karen says that he should have gone with the plan because not every cash buyer can perform. Great point. A cash buyer could have performed 2 months ago when you met him or her in April. But now it's June and maybe things have happened in their operations in the last 60 days and perhaps they can't perform. So I think it's good to not only, I say bonding and building rapport. I think it's maybe something even a little bit regular where you're either stopping by their office periodically or they're in your email loop so that you're touching them once a month or whatever, anything so that you don't have that problem that Karen is stating here, that not every cash buyer can perform. And so Dana is asking, is it a good deal? And that's the big question. Is it a good deal? A cash buyer is going to run their numbers. So if you're getting that information to the cash buyer before the opportunity, now the cash buyer has time to run their numbers and, just look, they would have been able to do that, but you can't run to a cash buyer at the last hour and say, I won the bid. It's $250,000. It's in Bowie. And we don't know how that person's day is going, how busy they are. Are they out in the field looking at their project? So got to be a little bit better organized. Again, like Ralph is saying right here, Greg says it all the time, we got to build a team. And so almost like a family. And in your family, most people in our families, we're communicating often. It doesn't mean that every time you talk to a cash buyer, you have to talk about that, but just to break bread or whatever, but do what you need to do so that you're in good relations with that cash buyer. Ironically enough, I won't name names, but ironically enough, the person that told me this is the second time that happened. Ironically, the first time it happened, it was in Baltimore, and it was about 4 years ago or something like that. And it so happened that it did work out. I think there was more time and more leeway for the deal to get done. But 9 times out of 10, that's not gonna fly. Have your cash buyers in hand before. Do some reverse engineering. Get your cash buyers lined up, and not only, yes, I'm a cash buyer, but where are you buying your properties? Oh, okay, you're buying in Prince George's County. Hey, I've got a deal in Baltimore. What do you know? I'm not in Baltimore right now. Got to really get to know, and maybe even set up a spreadsheet of name of cash buyer, phone number, email, website, areas where they're looking, and keep that current. Just like I'll put it up again when Karen says that not every cash buyer can perform, and so you got a cash buyers list that's 6 or 7 months old. Things may have changed, and so guys, that's all I have. Unless you guys have questions. And anybody working on anything? Dana, are you working on any deals, or is anyone having any successes this week with respect to generating leads? Anyone got someone on the fish hook? Anyone? So Ralph has a question here. But before that, let me put this up here. So Dana says he just got outbidded on a property. Dana, was that an auction opportunity? Dana, was that an auction at an auction, or just a maybe a deal outside of an auction? I'm kind of betting it was. But Dana, the one thing about being outbidded, at least you were in the game, right? You were in the game. You were out there, and if you got to walk away because you got outbidded, Dana was saying that it was a probate opportunity. At least you run your numbers the best you know how, and at least you walk away with money, with your money in your hand, and we fight for the next opportunity. Ralph is asking thoughts on the housing market crashing in Florida because of the cost of insurance due to storms and condo building repairs. What are your thoughts relative to real estate investments? That's a great question, Ralph. Personally, I really think you have to do your research on the areas in Florida that seem to get hit the most, because there are some areas that never get hit in Florida. And one city is where I have a couple of uncles that live, Ralph, is Jacksonville. For whatever reason, Jacksonville, Florida, those hurricanes seem to hopscotch over that area, and they'll hit areas like Beaufort, South Carolina, and go up the coast. But I don't think they've ever had like a direct hit like, the other towns further south, in the Miami areas and perhaps the Pensacola area. But I don't have a exact answer to that. I do like Jacksonville, and I have had thoughts of perhaps getting a property down there. I can tell you this though, Ralph, we probably have about 5 or 6 real estate agents here in our office that are dual career agents in Florida, and they do very well. But I know that, insurance is high, and, those condos, that's just could be a very dangerous situation. But I mean, there's been a boom in Florida ever since the 30s. So, still, it's just one of those things like, Oklahoma. Oklahoma still has, they have a lot of wind storms and tornadoes, but people that are from that area love it there, and they just rebuild and they keep it moving. So I couldn't tell you, and I know even Ralph, Greg has visions of getting a property in Florida. I'm not sure exactly where. Maybe I'll ask Greg to give his opinion on that. But I haven't seen anything on what I read and I research right now about serious crashes in Florida where people are leaving Florida. But that the housing market is kind of taking a hit all over the country. So at least from what I'm reading, I don't see it specifically in Florida. But Ralph, I'll follow up and see if I can get you a better answer there than that. And although Dana lost, to a probate opportunities, he's level-headed. These things happen. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. And I think, there's something else that I think we have to be careful of as investors when we are working an opportunity. And let's say there's like a back and forth for 3 weeks, sometimes maybe even a month. Sometimes we forget about our marketing plan and executing our marketing activities on a daily or a weekly, because we're so sold on this deal we think we're going to get. And I think there's something to be said that we always have to, although we have a deal or we have bread in the oven, because we have 2 deals or a deal that are, they may or may not come to fruition and get ratified, we still got to keep our foot on the pedal with respect to marketing, whatever that is. And sometimes we can get complacent and just kind of keep our foot off the gas because we feel like we've got that money coming in from a potential deal. So, we just got to, things happen, as we all know, in real estate, and especially in real estate investing. But Dana has the right mindset. You keep it moving. Very good for you to have that that type of mindset, Dana. So Rosalind is asking, what do you do as a reverse wholesaler before going to an auction? Will you know property locations, prices, etc. ahead of time? And if you do know ahead of time, should you let the buyers know ahead of time? So I think we end the end of this statement, Rosalind, is where we start. You want to get in touch with the buyers first. And if anyone has a different opinion, please chime in. But I believe in auctions, either online auctions at the or at the courthouse. You want to have your cash buyers lined up first. You want to have those conversations as to how much money are they working with, where are they buying, what zip codes, or neighborhoods. You want to have that worked out before you even start looking at auctions. And then there are various auction sites that you can go to set up alerts based on the criteria of property that you're looking at. For example, maybe you're only looking for multifamily homes, 4 units and under in a certain zip code, right? And so you want to have all that done. So now you can begin your search on the websites or the periodicals that come out that are announcing auctions. You can announce all of that first to the cash buyer before you even go to the courthouse or you go online. Once you see those opportunities come in, now you can have your conversations and run the numbers with the cash buyer first. And ideally, you want to kind of do a little bit of math also, so that the cash buyer can check your work before you go bidding on that. And in some cases, I've seen some cash buyers give the wholesaler a little bit of money to begin that process if monies are due in the beginning, with the promissory note that says if we don't win that bid, then you've got to give your money back. You can't hold on to the money. But I have seen some cash buyers do that. So Rosalind, you want to start with the end part there when you said yes, you want to let the buyers know ahead of time. Let's not be like the other gentleman that goes and wins. He wins the bid. He's jumping up and down. Now he's running all over the place for cash buyers. It's almost the same as wholesaling. There are some wholesalers out there that will, get something under contract, and then they look for their cash buyers, and now they run the risk of reneging on the deal if they can't come up with the funds. That has happened too. So we have to be very, 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 very careful. Karen is saying it's also good, especially for if you can find you're going to know the address, and so in certain areas you want to drive by the area. Some of them are not worth building versus cosmetic. So when you see an auction property in Baltimore, for example, and the opening bid is like $10,000 or $15,000, $20,000, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a full gut, and we don't really mess with full guts that much in Baltimore. But if I told you that in Capitol Heights there was a vacant property that needed gutting on 123 Main Street, 9 times out of 10 that's going to be the only house on that street or the only house on that block that's vacant. And we know that houses are appreciating in Prince George's County, houses are appreciating in Charles County, and of course, no jurisdiction where the houses appreciate as fast as DC. So drive by the property. Sometimes the properties you cannot get inside the property, and I think that's why Karen is so smart to know to say at least drive by the property, because not only are you driving by the property, you're driving by the neighborhoods. What does the neighborhood look like? Now, again, in Prince George's, the other counties in DC, no problem. Neighborhoods are not a big deal. But in Baltimore, it could be a big deal. The half of the block could be boarded up. And so no cash buyer or even the contractor is not going to want to do work in areas like that. So we want to drive the neighborhoods, see if it's walking distance. And what are we looking for when we're looking at properties? I'm looking down the alley. Is the alley serviceable? Could my nieces walk down the alley safely? So it's not just the front of the house; it's the back of the house. If it's a row house, you want to know, how they look. Let's see if we have anything here. So Marshawn is saying, do you need to put down a deposit for the online auctions? In some cases, yes. In other cases, no. And then in some cases, Marshawn, you can submit your bid prior to the bid date, the auction date. So on those auctions, especially when I'm saying that I'm speaking in particular with Ashland Auction. And so I know a lot of investors that have done deals with Ashland. You want to read the fine print on all of those auction opportunities, because there could be something in the fine print that says they would submit that they would accept offers in advance of the auction and the bid date. Good questions. Good questions. And I think, Marshawn, did you say that you were, let me put this up. Let's give a attaboy to Marshawn. He says he's going to be closing on a deal in 2 weeks. That's outstanding. That's great. That's a great Independence Day, July 4th gift, right? To get something in the summer and just keep it going. Keep that momentum going and other opportunities. Something else too that's kind of, so you guys may consider this corny or whatever, but talking about closing a deal, be it a residential sale or a commercial sale, or even an investing opportunity, they say 70% are, the National Association of Realtors says that 65 to 68% of the time that the person, the buyer and or the seller will not do business again with that agent and or investor that they did business with before. And part of the reason is communication. So, this goes to all of us out there. I think it bears worth repeating. When we get these deals, we need to be grateful and thankful to the people that we're working with. We don't know who they may know, and they could turn us on to another opportunity. I look at myself. This is true. I did a deal with a young lady probably back in 2015, 2014. I did a deal, and I just lost track with her. I was a full-time agent back then, and so I just lost. I was a dual career agent back then, but then the other job took more of my time than the real estate did, and I just lost track. I just slowly but surely lost all my contacts. And then just about maybe 2 months ago, I see the person that I served. I saw her on Facebook, and so I befriended her. I asked for a friend, and she hasn't responded yet. But had I been in touch, we had a really good relationship, and the house went to closing, and I remember she was very emotional at the settlement table, but we got through it. So that's just a small story to say, hey, after the deal is done, let's make sure that let's make sure that we give thanks and kind of stay in touch with the people that we're serving. And as you can see, Mersham, a lot of people want to say congratulations to you. That's good, man. Good, 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 good. So, guys, it's 8:36. Let me let you go. I don't have much of anything else. Perhaps we'll have more next week. We'll probably meet next week, and then we'll take that July 4th week off, and we will not have it the week of July 4th. But in the meantime, if you guys have questions, thoughts, or whatever, let me know. Or send them in beforehand. Then that way we can get to the questions and keep it moving and get off the line. So in the meantime, you guys know how to get in touch with Greg. You know how to get in touch with me. So if you need any assistance or whatever, let us know. Until then, take care. Stay cool. Drink your liquids. Especially you old people out there. Drink your liquids. Take care. Talk soon. Good night, guys.